And thanks for staying with us tonight. If we want sensible gun legislation in this country, we need to understand what we're really up against. What's the mentality out there? That means talking about people like James Yeager. He's a gun enthusiast and former military contractor in Iraq. He threatened to, quote, start killing people if the president issued an executive order on gun control. We asked him to come on our program tonight. At first he agreed, but then he said his lawyer was against it. Tonight, Talking Points memo reports that the state of Tennessee suspended Yeager's carry permit. Now he's trying to tone his message down a bit.
I do not condone anybody committing any kind of felonies unless it's necessary. Right now, it is not necessary. Start working out. Start stretching. Start practicing.
Yeager's not alone. He's just one in a crowd of extremists who think that they speak for all gun owners across America and Second Amendment lovers. Right-wingers at the Drudge Report compared the president to Hitler and Stalin. Really? Yeah. Another gun advocate used slavery to make his case against gun control.
If African Americans had been given the right to keep and bear arms from day one of the country's founding, perhaps slavery might not have been a chapter in our history.
We'll talk more about slavery and guns in a moment. First, you should know Larry Ward is pushing a National Gun Appreciation Day. It's on the weekend before Martin Luther King Day. Ward claims this is the first Gun Appreciation Day, but we found Gun Appreciation Days dating back to 1995. This was the year of the Oklahoma City bombing, right after Congress passed the assault weapons ban. By the way, that's convicted felon G. Gordon Liddy at the podium. Remember, he told people to, quote, go for a headshot if the ATF agents came to take their guns. His brand of crazy is alive and well.
They want to pick on the bastard child of the Bill of Rights, which is the Second Amendment, and it's not going to happen, not on my watch.
Obama operatives in the Congress have introduced more than 10 bills that would end the Second Amendment as we know it.
They don't need much to take advantage of a tragedy to further their political goals.
And I can't do this, and it's just endless.
This is just total, absolute friggin' tyranny.
If you don't belong to the NRA, you need to get on the phone and you need to use your credit card and you need to become a member within the next 24 hours. You're going to have to go on the NRA. Yep. Whether you like it or not.
I'll give you my semi-automatics when you pry them from my cold, dead hands.
Let's turn to Michael Eric Dyson, MSNBC political analyst and professor of sociology at Georgetown University. Professor, the rhetoric is getting hot. Is it good for the discussion? Is it good for America? Can we make any sense out of this?
The ratcheting up of this conversation is dangerous. It really presages, I think, an all-out war against vulnerable people who are rendered even more vulnerable because gun nuts think they have to be armed, aiming at targets that are already marginal in this culture in terms of their standing. And they pick the groups that are least likely to offer rebuttal to them. For instance, speaking about African-American people or talk about women and Latinos, these minority groups are not more likely to be viewed as legitimate possessors of guns to begin with. So when you ratchet the conversation up to this degree and you falsely claim that these people are the people you have to be concerned about, and Obama is trying to reject the Second Amendment and the people who look like him are the problems, this is a deeply classed, gendered, racialized assault upon people and upon people of goodwill in America who simply want to have sensible and sane gun policy in the place of this maniacal focus on the defense of the gun.
Professor, is it a special level? Is it at a new level when the Drudge Report, which is accessed by millions of conservatives in this country, to see murderous individuals such as Stalin and Hitler and the President of the United States, the inference there being aligned with these men?
Of course.
These psychopaths of another generation. What has the President of the United States done to deserve that, number one? And secondly, how are people supposed to respond to that? Are they looking for a reaction? Are they stirring the pot by doing something so outrageous as that?
Well, first of all, the president has done nothing more than exist. That is part of the problem. The right wing in this country has taken out, has in one sense become so outraged with Obama's presence that they will go to any length possible to try to eradicate, erase, or somehow undermine him, to try to convince Americans that he's not one of us, that he is trying to take our rights away, our guns away, and therefore take this country away. And what we, the right wing, have to do is to take it back. And even extra legal measures here, even though this man in your report was calmed down a bit by his lawyers and he retracted a bit, the reality is that they are willing to go to extraordinary lengths to prove that Obama is the enemy of all that's good. And the parallel, drawing the parallel between Obama and Hitler and Stalin and the like, is playing fast and loose with the truth. But you know, most people in America don't have the kind of refined political sensibilities that allows them to interpret facts for themselves. They are just led on by the images. And the very thing that Hitler was brilliant at, that is manipulating imagery to drum up and gin up the emotions of people, is what they're doing. They're talking against Hitler, and yet they're using some of his same tactics.
A former president of the NRA says tougher laws discriminate against certain guns. Here it is.
Banning people and things because of the way they look went out a long time ago. But here they are again, the color of a gun, the way it looks.
Your reaction to that?
First of all, that's ludicrous. To try to draw a parallel between color discrimination and applying that to guns is reaching very far. The metaphor fails. The analogy doesn't walk on all fours. The problem here is that most of the people who are against sensible, sane policy, who are in the embrace of the NRA, and who believe that the possession of a gun is the be-all and end-all of American society, are the very problem here. No one is trying to take guns. No one is trying to reject the possibility that Americans can own guns, but the worship of guns at the altar of the gun is the problem here. And drawing a parallel between Martin Luther King Jr. And his birthday and the appreciation for gun, let's be honest. Martin Luther King Jr. owned a gun early on in his career before Bayard Rustin came to Montgomery, taught him the ways of nonviolence. He put the gun down. He subjected himself to every force of evil in this country. And the reality is Martin Luther King Jr. would never substantiate the claim that we must own guns. He said, put them down.
Michael Eric Dyson, and you answered my final question. It is great to have you with us on this Friday night on this very intense subject. I appreciate it. Next, we'll hear more from Congressman Phil Gingrey. This time, he's out defending Todd Aiken's views on legitimate rape. Karen Finney will weigh in. And later, I'll tell you why Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid is the most important man in Washington right now. Stay tuned.